So for this next part of the density simulation, you're going to actually do some exploring. And so the very first thing I want you to do here is actually I want you to go to the bottom where it says the density simulation, and you actually need to allow it on your Chromebook. And so right here, and you'll see these pictures will help you go through this. It says attempt to view the simulation anyway, and we're going to click on that. And then right here it says click to enable Adobe Flash Player. We're going to try to click it. And then here at the top it says that the Flash Player will no longer be supported, but we're going to go ahead and allow it for now. And then your lab should appear here. Okay? If it does not, you can go to this web address right here, and you'll have to go through the same steps. Hopefully it'll work one of these two places. If it doesn't, you will need to let Ms. Settlemeyer know as soon as possible. Think about these questions as you play around. What can you do in the simulation, and what happens when you do it? Okay, so when you go down to the simulation, you can play around with the mass of the block. You can play around with the volume. You can change the type of the block. So just play around with it. You can look at these types of block, and you'll just drop them in and see what happens. You can weigh it and figure out what happens to them. Okay, so play around and see what happens. Okay, all right, and then when you're done, you can just hit reset all, and it'll go back to the start. Once you have had time to play around, you're going to go back up and answer the questions in the discussion board. So complete this discussion question on the discussion board, and what you'll do is you'll click on the discussion board picture right here, and it'll take you directly to the discussion board. It's asking you to share the things that you found that you can do with the simulation. You can include photos, screenshots, video, audio responses, or text. And right here is where you will click reply. The box will open up, and you can type here. You can record, or you can attach something here. And you can record media here. So you just have to make sure that you allow it. And right now you'll see my picture, and you can hit start recording, or you can just do your mic, and it'll all be done directly in the discussion. Okay, so when you're done, you will post your reply. Once you are done posting your reply, you will be able to see what other people have posted. So if you feel like it, you can go through and look at what people have already submitted. Okay, when you're done with the discussion board, you can go back to home, go back to your weekly agenda, and go back to the density simulation lab. Okay, and then we will move on to the next part here. This one is where you're going to start exploring the different materials and different sizes. You're going to go back in here, and you are really going to look through this. This right here is an actual kind of a guide of the things it wants you to answer. So when you click on this, once again, it's going to have you make a copy. It's asking you to complete this activity as you continue to explore. You're going to open the copy, and it's done in a graph or a table. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to, the questions will be right here on the left side, and you're going to respond on the right side. As you are working in this table, it has a table overlay. You should be fine. You're just going to click directly into each box, and when you click directly into each box, you'll be able to type your answer. So when you're done here, also make sure that you go back in and add your name here at the top. If I were you, I would leave 2 windows open or 2 tabs at the top. I will go back to the home button. I would go back to weekly agenda. It's the easiest way for you guys to get where you're going. Go back to the density simulation lab, And then you can leave this simulation open and go back and forth between the two. So like in this section, you're exploring different materials and different sizes, which materials sink. So go through and look at these materials here and decide which sinks. The same thing, which ones float, and then your own words. Tell what you think volume means, and then what does mass mean in the simulation, okay? And then think about, does the mass change when you make the block bigger or smaller, and explain why. And then does the density change and when you make it bigger or smaller, and explain why. And then the very last thing is, does the floating or the sinking change if you make something bigger or smaller? Take the time to answer this, and then you are going to submit. I'm going to go back into my page. For this one in particular, I'm going to have to go back into the lab activity. And then you'll be able to submit here, and I'll show you what that looks like in the next video, okay? All right, I'm going to stop the video here, and then I will show you how to submit.